Welcome to Revolutionary Ideas. I'm Jim Kunkel, host of the Digital Revolution podcast, and over the last series of videos, I explored the Digital Dollar Project, exploring a United States central bank digital currency. This groundbreaking report was authored and distributed by the Digital Dollar Foundation and Accenture. Report link is in this video's description. In the first part, I provided a background on the Digital Dollar Project and the partnership between the Digital Dollar Foundation and Accenture. Before I start out this part 4, last of the series, let me revisit what the Digital Dollar Project is. The Digital Dollar Project is an initiative to explore the potential of creating a digital version of the US dollar, which would be a form of central bank digital currency, or CBDC. A digital dollar would be a virtual representation of the physical cash you carry in your wallet, but it would be issued and managed by the Federal Reserve or another newly proposed government entity. The Digital Dollar Project is a partnership between Accenture and the Digital Dollar Foundation, and it aims to advance the research and development of a potential US CBDC and to engage with the public and policymakers to introduce this topic and open discussion on digitally transforming the United States paper and coin fiat monetary system into a central bank digital currency, or CBDC as it's referred to. Now let's get into part 4 and talk about the role of the United States dollar in the global economy. This video will provide a little history and why the US dollar is the reserve currency of the global economy, and the potential that very soon that status could change. The United States dollar became the official reserve currency in 1944, when 44 Allied countries agreed to the Bretton Woods Agreement. This agreement established a fixed exchange rate system based on gold and the US dollar, which was backed by the world's largest gold reserves. The US dollar was chosen as a reserve currency because of its stability, liquidity, and global acceptance. So with the establishment of the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, the agreement also established the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the World Bank to promote international cooperation and monetary development. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, is an international organization that promotes global economic growth and financial stability. It encourages international trade, reduces poverty. It's governed and also held accountable to its 190 member countries, and it provides policy advice, financial assistance, and capacity development to them. The World Bank is an international organization that provides loans and grants to the governments of low and middle income countries for the purpose of pursuing capital projects. It also offers policy advice, research, and technical assistance to support economic development and to address poverty. The World Bank is part of the World Bank Group, which consists of 5 major institutions with different roles and functions. The United States dollar, being the reserve currency for the global economy, has both advantages and disadvantages. Some of the advantages are it allows the United States to borrow money more easily at lower interest rates, since there is a high demand for dollars and dollar-dominated assets. It enables the United States to use financial sanctions as a foreign policy tool, since many countries and entities depend on the dollar for international transactions and access to global financial systems. And it provides liquidity and stability to the global economy, since the dollar is widely accepted and trusted as a means of payment and a store of value. Now, some of the disadvantages are it creates a trade deficit for the United States, since a strong dollar makes U.S. exports more expensive and imports less expensive, reducing the competitiveness of U.S. industries and workers. It exposes the United States to currency risk, since a sudden loss of confidence in the dollar or a shift to other currencies could cause a depreciation of the dollar and inflation rising in the United States economy. It imposes a burden on the United States to maintain the dollar's status and credibility, since the United States has to balance its domestic and international interests and obligations and face the criticism and resentment of other countries. Some of the pressures to replace the United States dollar as a reserve currency of the global economy are the rise of China and other emerging economies, which challenge the U.S. economic and political dominance and seek to diversify their reserves and trade away from the dollar. The dissatisfaction of some countries with the United States, use of financial sanctions and extraterritorial jurisdiction, which limit their access to the global financial system and infringe on their sovereignty. The volatility and uncertainty of the U.S. fiscal and monetary policies, which affect the value and stability of the dollar and its attractiveness as a store of value. And the development of new technologies and innovations such as digital currencies and payment platforms, which offer alternatives to traditional dollar-based systems and reduce the transaction cost and barriers. To close out this series on the potential of a United States central bank digital currency, let me talk about the domestic and global economic impact of switching from paper coin fiat currency to digital currency may have. Well, there is no definitive answer to the economic impact question, as the impact of a U.S. central bank digital currency or CBDC will have on the domestic and global economy is going to depend on many factors, such as the design and implementation of the CBDC system, the response of businesses, American citizens, and other countries and markets, and the evolution of the demand and supply of different currencies. However, based on some of the sources I found, here are some possible scenarios and implications. A U.S. central bank digital currency could strengthen the role of the U.S. dollar as a dominant reserve currency, as it would make the dollar more accessible, efficient, and attractive for international transactions and investments. This could benefit the U.S. economy by lowering its borrowing costs, enhancing its financial leverage, and supporting its economic growth. However, it could also create challenges for the U.S. monetary policy, as it would have to balance the domestic and international objectives and pressures. Moreover, it could increase the resentment and resilience of other countries, especially those who are subject to U.S. sanctions or face currency instability. A U.S. CBDC could also trigger a shift away from the U.S. dollar, as other countries may seek to diversify their reserves and trade with alternative currencies, such as the euro or other CBDCs. This could reduce the demand and value of the dollar and increase the volatility and uncertainty of the global financial system. It could also erode the U.S. economic and political influence and expose the U.S. to currency and inflation risk. Furthermore, it could create fragmentation and competition among different CBDCs and undermine the cooperation and coordination among central banks and regulatories. A U.S. CBDC could also have mixed effects on the global economy, depending on how it interacts with the existing and emerging payment systems and platforms. On the one hand, a U.S. CBDC could improve the efficiency and inclusiveness of the global payment system by reducing the transaction costs and barriers and providing access to digital payments for the unbanked and underbanked populations. On the other hand, a U.S. CBDC could also introduce new risks and challenges, such as the loss of privacy and security, the potential for cyber attacks and technical failures, the legal and regulatory uncertainties, and the social and ethical implications. As you can see, the question of whether a U.S. CBDC could cause economic problems in the global economy, it's not easy to answer, as it involves many complex and uncertain factors and trade-offs. Therefore, it's important to conduct careful and comprehensive research, just like the Digital Dollar Project, and economic analysis, and to engage in dialogue and collaboration with various stakeholders before action is taken regarding rolling out the United States central bank digital currency. Please give this video a like if you found value on this topic, and also consider subscribing to the Digital Revolution channel if you're not. Subscribers, I greatly appreciate your support of the channel content.